Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Reed. Hall should be here any second, but the title of tonight's episode is Summer Status. And speaking of, the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. And speaking of the summer status and it being just a scorcher as of late this week, we thought we'd bring in our guy, Mr. Damien Bartonek. It's been a long time, brother. You've gone miles and miles since the last time we've talked to you. How you doing?
Life is good, man. I can't complain. Everything has been the hard work has been paying off, and it's continued to do so. We'll continue to make history out here, and then the next stop I go to after in December, we'll continue to make history there too. So, been good.
My man, I know you're recent. You just interviewed Mexican OT, the rapper down in Texas, and he had his shirt off in studio. And I said to you, I thought you should have matched his energy there, but I'm sure your higher up said no to that.
Yeah, no, definitely wouldn't have happened. Shout out to that Mexican OT. You can get away with stuff like that when you're an entertainer. So, hey, more power to him. But you couldn't pay me enough to be looking like that.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking about that. Like, if I just like somebody like me, first of all, my fiance told me that I have the body of an ice cream cone that's melting upwards, and I was like, damn, I couldn't do that. I just looked like a big glob of vanilla sitting out there, all sloppy.
Lindsay, you thought that Reed was the funniest one in the family. Oh, were you wrong?
Yeah.
But Dame, the latest news said it's crazy because Brandon Aiyuk put on TikTok Washington's practice film. It looked like the second team offense. Like Scott was at right tackle. I think Coleman was at left tackle. I only think Cosme was on the line. But just kind of talk to us about this Brandon Aiyuk situation because, you know, in my personal opinion, I'm sitting here like, why, man? Like, go outside, do something. Why do you need to post that? And I think I don't think it really hurts as much. It's just it's bringing its ugly head around again. But it's better than off the field issues.
Yeah, I think the Brandon Aiyuk thing is very interesting, especially when you look at the NFL, the way the cap works and everything like that. You look at kind of the Washington's personnel. It's an interesting thing. I don't think Washington needs another receiver per se that makes a lot of money or that will command a lot of money. But at the same time, they're also a team that I'm of the philosophy, and I'm sure Dan Quinn is too, of just bringing good players and it'll work itself out. So I can see both sides of it. I think Ayuk's interesting though, and I think his constant flirting with coming to Washington and teasing it is definitely fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. It's not every day that we get somebody in here who's an MMA and boxing aficionado like yourself. Did you watch? I'm assuming. I mean, you watched Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal last night. What did you think of it? Did you think that Nate Diaz actually won that fight? I did. I said, good for you, Nate.
Shout out to my dad. My dad loves Nate Diaz, so he was definitely very happy. But as far as me, no, I did not think he won that fight.
Really?
No. Oh, absolutely not.
Little pillow hands, man.
Yeah, I had a draw, personally, but that was actually me having it a draw, and really leaning to the close rounds to Nate. But off a second watch, no, I definitely don't think
really
Diaz won. And I mean, shout out to Nate Diaz. I understand, marching forward and all that good stuff like that. But damage rules all. That's literally every scoring criteria. And Masvidal was clearly the one having.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, he outlanded him on top of all this as well. So kind of marching forward isn't enough to win a fight. But
it's so funny. I'm super biased when it comes to Nate. I love it. How can you hate Nate Diaz? Yeah, man, Stockton, California, stand up. How can you hate Nate? He's so cool. But like, do you notice that during the Jake Paul fight? Like his little punches, like there's no way that's doing anything to anybody. And but dude's got a hell of a chin on him though. You know?
Yeah,
he ate those shots.
Absolutely. A lot of people really look at. I know when Nate first came into boxing to fight Jake Paul, people were saying I was, basically a hater because I was like, yeah, he's gonna lose. Like, and it wasn't even me hating, but I mean, with 4-ounce gloves, he didn't have knockout power. What makes you think with 10-ounce gloves he will? So
he moves like an old man too. It's so funny watching his hips. He can't move.
That hits me right in the soul, Reed. That hits me right in the soul.
I know.
And speaking of the kind of fighting scene and everything like that, Dame, it's funny because you're down in Texas. You're in a different kind of atmosphere than being local as you were before? I know that you've kept your eye on the Commanders and everything like that, but I've asked this to the past couple guests on this episode on this show, and I've asked them if it was the octagon. Let's choose your fighter. If it had to come down to one player from each team having to fight it out and scrap it out in the octagon, which player from Washington would you be choosing to fight?
Yeah, I was about to say Brandon Robinson, Brian Robinson, and Sam Cosmi. I'd probably lean Cosmi just because of the reach.
He
But
looks
yeah,
like a mountain.
yeah, no, and he's big. Yeah, he's big, athletic, long arms. Yeah, I think I'm going with Sam Cosmi.
Well, but remember, I'm not going to say it. Might get the white people on that again. Remember, last time I was on here, I said I said something, and people got mad at me. But he is white, so that's always tough in the fighting room. I'm just kidding. Have thick skin. It's funny. I'm white, guys. It's okay.
You're good.
No, yeah, but even over somebody like Jonathan Allen, do you think Jonathan Allen? He's so intense, but I guess you're at Cosme with just his overall size and athleticism. Like, what could you do about that guy?
Well, and he played left tackle, and he has those long arms like Damien talked about, right?
Yeah, one of the most athletic tackles to come out. He is the most athletic offensive guard. One of them, whatever it came out as. He had like a 10 RAS score, 9.99 or something.
Right.
So,
Dame,
it's impressive.
Dame, my next question for you, sir. One of the things I saw online when doing some investigating for this episode is that Zach Ertz is being flirted as a sleeper tight end in fantasy formats, either standard or PPR. I think that's probably a really good thing to really buy into if you are a fantasy football player or a commissioner. What do you feel about that?
Oh, I love it. I love it 100%. I'm excited to see Zach Ertz in this offense. Now, I remember, what was it, 2 years ago when they got Carson Wentz. Remember, he was a free agent, and everyone was like, "Oh, get Ertz." I remember he went to Arizona, but no, I think Zach Ertz is one of the more perfect tight ends you could add for a young quarterback. I'm not expecting him to be a 60, 70 catch kind of guy. But more so just a chain mover, someone that you need in certain situations, kind of like a good role player in the NBA, right? You don't need all your role players to hit 8 threes every game, but you just need them to be consistent. I think that's what he'll be, and in fantasy especially. I think I wouldn't count on him being a guy that has like the upside of 12 or 13 points a game in PPR formats, but I definitely have him, maybe being a 5-6. Catch kind of guy in certain games, other games maybe having 2 or 3 catches but a touchdown. So yeah, I can see that.
A touchdown-dependent tight end, and that's something you really want to bank on in these sleepers, late-round drafting of tight ends. Sorry, Reed.
Especially just being a nice safety blanket. Like, he's not going to wow you with any of his stuff at this point in his career, but just being a nice veteran that can just get open in the flat, that can get open over the middle, and just be there, catch the ball that Jaden Daniels can rely on. But that kind of brings me to another pass catcher, Jahan Dotson. A lot of people, everybody wants to talk about Terry. People want to bring up Brandon Aiyuk. What do you think Jahan Dotson brings to this offense? Do you think he's going to have a bounce back in year 3?
100%. I mean, Commanders Twitter didn't really like me too much last year. I was never a Sam Howell guy. Just kind of looked at the numbers, looked at the tape, and it kind of pointed to what we got. And when you play a dependent position like wide receiver, if your quarterback isn't playing very well, you're going to, hurt because of it, right? So did Dotson have some very poor outings also because of himself? Absolutely. The one play that automatically jumped to my brain right now is against the Giants there on the goal line. Yes, the pass wasn't perfect, but you got to catch it right there on the goal line. You make no mistake. You get paid to catch a football like that. So I do think who have a bounce back here. I do think Jaden Daniels will play honestly well, to rookie standards. But I'm fully expecting that.
And now we are joined by our other co-host, Mr. Michael Hall. Thank you for blessing us on this Sunday evening, sir. I hate to put you on the spot, sir, but do you have a question for Dame?
Yeah, what's good, Damien? You asked him about like the Aiyuk TikTok thing. Yeah. All right, so Jamin Davis is a name that's been brought up a lot. Obviously, he didn't get his 5th-year option picked up, and they've been talking about working him at edge rusher and not much as linebacker, but like an edge rusher, and they're going to have him maybe come off the edge, attack the quarterback. Do you like that for Jamin, or do you think that they should be playing him at linebacker and trying to get the most out of him at the linebacker position?
Yeah, from the jump, I said he's probably not going to be a Mike in year 2, year 3. He's going to be an off-ball linebacker, outside linebacker for his first couple of years, and then you kind of slowly bring him along. Ron Rivera obviously thought completely otherwise and did not do that whatsoever. So yes, I like that they're doing kind of more stuff on the outside, whether it's an edge rusher, whether it's more things along that boundary, because he's a great athlete still. Yes, he's not a Mike linebacker. I don't think many people really thought he was going to be, but he still has all these tools, all these intangibles that you can use and you can definitely mold for a very versatile piece that in the NFL, right, in this modern age, we see tons of guys who may not fit the quote unquote linebacker role, but they still are in some sense, or they can do other things too. So yeah, no, absolutely, I do. I think it's great.
With that rare athleticism that he has, like, why not just move him around? That's what Dan Quinn, that's what they did with Micah. Remember, Micah was coming out. He was a linebacker, but they saw his athleticism and stuff. They moved him around as an edge rusher and got the most out of him. So
they do that with a lot of their players, and with Minka, I mean, they did a very good job at that. But Dame, I have a couple more questions for you, sir, because you being down in Texas, a lot of comparisons have been used with the Houston Texans, with C.J. Stroud and others. Do you think that there is any sort of comparison that you can make or similarities you can make between Washington with Jaden Daniels and them bringing him in just like C.J. Stroud was brought in with Houston because of the, I guess you could say, the acclamations of where they made the playoffs last season?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. So I saw the Commanders and Texans play the year prior to C.J. Stroud getting there, so 2022. And the Texans, I think that was DeMeco Ryans' first year, if I'm not mistaken, or he got hired the next year. One of the two. The team wasn't very good, basically, is what I'm saying. And defensively, you saw they had some players there, right? They had some kind of foundational pieces. Then they brought in the coach and the quarterback, and they were kind of off to the races. Washington's in a similar situation, I feel, because defensively, they added some very good pieces, right? Both linebackers they added. You have add a guy like Jeremy Chin and a plethora of other talent. It excites me, right? I think defensively is where kind of the bread will be buttered, because offensively, I don't think they're going to be very, prolific and high scoring, but I think their defense, if it can be good enough, especially with Dan Quinn, it'll keep them in a lot of games. And when you have a playmaker like a Jaden Daniels, all you need is one, right? You just need one play at the right time. You just need that playmaking ability to show out. So I do think there can be some similarities. I really was talking to my coworker about this the other day. He's a Giants fan, funny enough. And I was like, man, I'm trying to be unbiased here, but when I think about it, man, if any other team would have added the guys that Washington did and had the draft that they did, I would say, damn, they're a really good team. Like, they can be a really good team this year. So I do think we can be in for a very, very solid first year with Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn.
Right. It's not only just that. It's like when you look at the contracts and the type of players that they added, like all these guys that were either high round draft picks, first, second round picks, or undrafted guys that scrap and make a roster, sign them to 1-year deals and be like, go out there and prove it. Go out there. Like, that's, I just love the way that they put that together. It's like, these guys are going to be hungry. They clearly got the talent to do it. So let's just hope that it pans out.
Yeah, I love personally the Frankie and the Jeremy Chin moves. Those two, I mean, and then when they got Bobby Wagner, I don't care if Bobby Wagner's 100 years old. He can still give you something, right? Yeah, this is not Thomas Davis and the first year of Ron Rivera, right? This is not, they're not the same. Good know what I mean? So
right.
I think the defense definitely excites me now. Emmanuel Forbes, I have my eye on Emmanuel Forbes, but I think that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah, and I think that they have the defensive staff to be able to help those young men out, especially like Benjamin St-Juste and others who have been looking for a spark under their rear end, and they got no better defensive coordinator to really be steering that ship in that regard. Dame, next question I have for you. Kliff, do you think Kliff is the right guy to have Jaden Daniels in this offense, being, as you could say, the weaknesses of it, let's say the lack of playmakers that some would complain about, not myself in particular, but others would complain about not having enough weapons and that whatsoever. Do you think that Kliff is the right guy to be able to make this offense work?
Let me tell you like this, man. Gordon Ramsay, you've never seen him bake anything a day in your life, yeah? I've never seen Gordon Ramsay bake.
Never.
Right? Yeah. But what is he good with? All the entrees, right? Yes, Kliff Kingsbury may not be a great head coach, but his entree is offense. He knows offense, right? So rather than sit here and I saw a lot of the pushback of like a lot of people were worried basically about Kliff Kingsbury. They were talking about his head coaching tenure. Regardless of how you feel about him as a head coach, it's irrelevant because that's not what he's coming in here to do, right? Offensively, that Cardinals team was really solid. They were once 10-0, 11-0. that year,
Something
right?
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, like let's kind of put it in perspective here. I think Kliff is not only the right guy for this situation, but I think not only that, with a young quarterback, a guy that understands, college concepts as well as pro concepts, absolutely. I think it's a great fit.
The no tie in the draft room, you gotta love it. He was the only guy without one.
Such a good looking dude,
Dude,
man.
it's an
Compared to these
alpha. It's an
other
alpha
coaches,
move.
he's
You can't
yeah,
you
right.
can't
You have
argue against it.
him and Sam Hartman in the same quarterback room. Jesus, come on, man. None of
Now,
us can bring our girlfriends to camp this year.
now, Dame,
Not one of us.
last question I have for you, brother. 4th of July, obviously, was this past weekend, celebrating our wonderful freedom, of course. But what are some eats? And then aside off of that, vacation. What is your favorite vacation destination or activities?
Well, you can't be an American and not have a glizzy on 4th of
Yeah,
July.
There you
what
go.
I mean?
You said the
his
right
business,
term.
man.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, pause, but you gotta be a glizzy gobbler on 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely need to.
You're talking to the Glizzy Gladiator up there in Mike
I
Reed,
am
by
the
the way.
Glizzy Gladiator. That's what they call me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, the hot dogs for sure. Burgers, I love I love ribs. I love smoking some ribs. So
Yeah.
those are the eats for sure. As far as vacation, that's a great question, man. I haven't had a. I'm trying to think of like the last vacation like that I would, I went to New York for my birthday, but I wouldn't go back, man. It's too dirty for me. It's way too dirty. I would say top vacation. I went on or top vacation spot for me. I went on a cruise like 3 or 4 years ago. Or no, longer than that, like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was great. We went to Mexico, white sand beaches out there, and all that was dope. So anything like that, man, I'm good. As long as my phone doesn't work, I'm fine. That means I'm all present 100%.
Especially New York, like New York City. It used to be fun, but it went from this city that never sleeps to the city that sleeps until about noon. Ever since this fentanyl crisis got out of hand.
No, but you're just like
It's bad,
Hall.
man.
You're just like Hall, Dame, because Hall has been saying for years that he wants to go to a beach and waters where he could see through. It's that clear blue. So I feel like you guys are on the same page in that regard. Dame, I
Yes,
can't thank you
sir.
enough for taking some time out for us, dude, because you've been working your rear end, working down the news stations down in San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken, covering a wide spread of things. I thought it was just the MMA and boxing, but now you're interviewing that Mexican OT, and which was absolutely awesome. But before you get out of here,
yeah.
if you'd just like to plug your show and then also your social media handle, just in case anybody watching hasn't followed you yet, sir, or would like to.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me, man. It's always fun. It's definitely a nice change of pace. I enjoy it. Yeah, just follow me at TV Bartonek, TV Bartonek. Shout out to Fox West Texas. Shout out to MMA Monday. That's my MMA show that I run out there. And yeah, man, I cover a little bit of everything, man. Local news, weather, sports, national stuff. Just a little bit of everything, man.
What do you think UFC is going to do for the Sphere? Do you think that's going to be McGregor Chandler?
McGregor Chandler. Yeah.
Do you think
Dana's
Pereira's
crazy.
going to fight again in the next 2 months? Like he's saying he might?
No, he'll fight. He'll fight in November or December.
Hell yeah.
And do you think
Yeah,
that guy
so good.
Neon will
So
continue
good.
talking crap to the Diaz brothers?
Hey, if Neon's watching this, I would love to spar you, brother. I would love if Neon comes across this, brother. I promise you, I won't even aim for the head, bro. I just only want the body. I promise.
That would be
Pause.
so you would break that kid.
He's in
No,
the
I
parking
wouldn't.
garage.
I know.
Dame, I can't thank you enough, man. Have a great night. Enjoy your Sunday and this week, brother.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you
bro.
guys again. Y'all have a good one.
You too,
Yeah,
brother.
that's it.
All right, everybody. We just talked to the man, Mr. Damien Bartonek. Always appreciate his time. And I'm not
Yeah.
kidding that the dude has been busy as heck.
Dude, he's killing it right now.
I remember
As
when
soon
we
as-
first had him on, he was like
Yeah.
18, like a young boy, and then he was just kind of getting into like the whole
Yeah.
podcasting TV world. Now look at
I
him.
raised
That's
I
great.
raised
That's what's up.
I raised him well.
Yeah, you did. Hey, boys, before we get into fan questions, let's kind of talk about our 4th of July weekend. Reed, I know you didn't do anything special. Hall, what did you do for 4th of July? Did you have fun?
Yeah, just kind of been doing what we usually been doing for the past couple of years, which is go hang out, go to like a little cookout for a couple hours, and head out to Poolsville. They usually put on a pretty good fireworks show, so
Yeah,
just go out to
Poolville.
Poolsville. Yeah, out to Poolsville, and and then just go home. Nothing really like that serious, that fun.
Yeah, I'm with you. For 4th of July, I didn't do much. I worked on the house. Like I cleared the garage a little bit so we could get the new lawnmower in here. But I'll tell you, we went to the beach yesterday, and I had
What
really
beach
bad
do you go to real
anxiety.
fast? Do you go to Rehoboth?
Oh, we go to Lewis Beach,
Okay.
right on. So we go on the bay side, and it's honestly there's not that
How
many.
far are you from Broadkill Beach?
I'm not sure. I've never even heard
Okay,
of it,
because that's
dude.
like it's like right above Rehoboth, and
Okay,
yeah,
it's
I know
not.
how much you frequent Rehoboth, Kyle.
It's about 40 minutes, I think, or a couple minutes there or
Okay,
so. But
cool.
dude, I had such bad anxiety when I was at the beach. This is probably the first times I had anxiety, and it's not for the reasons that you think, because we were rushing to get there early because we have the kids and everything, and my wife had Safe Light coming by to replace the windshield, so we just got in the car
Did
and
Safe
went.
Light repair and
Yeah,
Safe
and
Light
so
replace?
we were trying to get there for a couple hours before Safe Light got there, and so I was having such bad anxiety, man, because on the way there I realized, I was like, crap, dude, I didn't put on my swimsuit, so I got my athletic shorts on, and I forgot to put on boxers, and so I was like, oh no, and so Cash wants to go in the water, of course, and you know what happens when you get in the water is that your damn shorts stick to you, and
Yeah,
so the whole time
yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, dude,
You
there's
see your little
people on the
tiny
beach,
meat. Yeah,
yeah, seeing like the hog just poking out.
seeing the little penis
Yeah,
just in
dude, I had
there.
to fight. I
Yeah,
had to
when
fight
it comes
everyone
out.
off me. They
Yeah,
were like, "Look at that
yeah.
thing! You got something out?" And they're like, "Dude,
Yeah,
come on."
right, dude. Come on. But the good thing, at least being like in the middle of summer, where it's hanging freely a little bit, it's not trying to get up towards your body. At least then it's like,
I was trying to do the scary movie 2 thing. I was trying to tuck it behind my leg, and it kept poking out. I was like, "Nah, man, let me be free." It's
Yeah.
like, "Nah,
Oh, you're
chill,
trying to Uncle
bro."
Ray Ray it. Yeah, you're trying to mangina that. You're trying
Dude,
to
I was in the
mangina that.
water. They were like, "Snake!" I was like,
You know what you
"No."
could do next time? I think you can take it and just plug it into your plug it into your ass and piss when you don't have a Gatorade
Dude,
bottle in the car.
dude. So the whole time, so the whole,
Fill yourself up. It's kind of a life hack I've learned when you're sitting in traffic and can't find a Gatorade bottle.
how many times has that happened to you?
I've never pissed in my own ass. What the hell? I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry.
You're
I thought
going
that
on
was
a whole
funny.
different tangent here. But it was a really good time at the beach. I will say, I just had my hand in the pocket the whole time, very, very
Yeah, you
nervously
have
and
to.
weirdly.
You have to. Yeah, especially you have your shirt off. You can't tuck.
Yeah,
You can't tuck up. You can tuck down, though, like we talked about. But yeah, no, that is nerve wracking. I know what you mean. That sucks.
I was like
We're going.
walking all wobbly and everything. It was
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah. And you don't want to be that guy that's like pulling on his shorts the whole time trying to get the suction off, because then it's like,
Yeah,
what's this creep doing? Yeah.
exactly.
We're going to the beach Wednesday. Wednesday, we'll be down in Bethany for like 4 days or something.
Stop by sometime, dude, or tell
Maybe I'll
us.
stop by. Maybe I'll come there in my athletic shorts and no boxers and say what's up, Kyle.
That guy brought a
Say,
thumbtack out here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Say, you boys ever wondered what happened? Because it's not there, and just what happened? It's so small. I was gonna say something else, but then I was like, it's probably a little much.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Reed, what did you guys do for 4th of July?
All we do, shove a few firecrackers up bullfrogs' asses, real American stuff. No, we just chilled, man. We didn't do much. I made some delicious mushroom and Swiss burgers. They're very, very good. They're very good. And just chilled, watched fireworks, man. We didn't have to go far. James fell asleep, so that's what I've seen him before.
I'm with you. For the first time, we went to we saw fireworks over the water. So we went down to my in-laws' house, and like on the end of their street is like a canal, and there was only like 10 people there. But so like we pull up to the canal, and it's like literally the road ends, and then 5 feet the water begins. And across the water, obviously, are like multi-million-dollar homes. But these people were setting off their own professional fireworks on the water, so that was really cool
Hell
to
yeah.
see.
That's
And,
sick. Yeah, I'm sure that's a cool ass area to be. We used to be down in Bethany every year for 4th of July. That was sick, but it was too crowded. So I'm sure where you're at's like prime America weather.
It is. Now, let's get into our fan questions, boys. This one is by the Colonel, and he sent in this video. He asked, when did Reed make this commercial? Why doesn't he talk about it more on the show?
What was the
It's
commercial?
the Cheez-It commercial. Have you ever seen this Cheez-It commercial? I'll try to
I
show it
don't
on
think so,
here.
but I do love Cheez-Its. Okay, hit play. Oh. That yeah, that actually could be me. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I guess he said that you look like
You're
the guy.
I could see that. Yeah, if I was a little bit more white or gray, definitely not more white.
Yeah, but you know how he always says
Unhealthily
that
pale.
you could
Yeah.
pull it off on SNL, and I agree with him in that sense. Even though you
Uh,
steal Norm Macdonald's bit, but it's okay. Now,
It's
his real
okay.
question is, podcaster Pat McAfee Hall recently blasted ESPN for selecting Prince Harry to be the recipient of the Pat Tillman Award. Pat Tillman's mother said the following quote, "I am shocked as to why they would select such a controversial and divisive individual to receive the award," she told the Daily Mail. Quote, "There are recipients that are far more fitting," end quote. She added, "There are individuals working in the veteran community that are doing tremendous things to assist veterans." What do you think?
So, Pat McAfee got the award?
No. Prince Harry did for the Pat Tillman Award.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sounds honestly pretty like dumb to me. Like, isn't Prince Harry like British?
Yeah.
Yes.
So like, why would he
Well,
get like?
didn't they like excommunicado that guy?
Yeah,
I
he's the one who
guess so,
Meghan
yeah.
Markle. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I
because he
think
married a
so.
black lady and they were like, we hate black
Yeah.
people, something like that.
I don't think it's because of that. It's because they started blasting the family, which they probably should.
Nah, they just hate black people. But
Well, for sure, obviously. Yeah,
nah, but
of course they do. Yeah.
yeah, nah. I mean, definitely should have went to. I feel like someone more deserving, someone that maybe not obviously like walk the same path as Pat Tillman because he was like one of one, but someone that maybe like somewhere along those lines where they like you said helped like veterans. I mean, I guess Prince Harry did help veterans because I guess he was like in the army. I don't know. I just feel like it should have brought it went to someone else. Didn't even know he got the award. This is news to me. So this is breaking news.
Well, credit to Pat McAfee for talking about him blasting ESPN. But like I told the Colonel, ESPN is owned by Disney. You can't be all that surprised at this point that they would go down the route of, celebrating a prince to give him this award for Pat Tillman, which is kind of ridiculous. If you haven't already, go and watch the Pat Tillman documentary made by the family. It's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, at his funeral, like when you sign in the military, you sign if you want like a private or a public funeral. He chose private. He wanted it specifically to be only his friends and family. But our government said, no, we're going to use this as a way to kind of, posterize Pat Tillman, to kind of be a symbol whatsoever. So his brother gets on stage at this. He's like, Pat would have hated this crap. And he's like chugging a beer up there. I think it's like a Keystone or a Busch Light or something like that. And he's just chugging away to like not carrying in a T-shirt and backwards hat. I know Eric Bieniemy is going to be pissed off to hear that, but the fact is, it is funny that ESPN would do that. It just shows, honestly, the political aspect of it all. But that being said, I couldn't think of anybody that, like Glenn Coffey, maybe. Isn't that the running back from the 49ers who left to join the armed forces?
Yeah. He played at Alabama and stuff.
Then the
before.
the Steelers left tackle that recently retired.
Anderson Villanueva.
Yeah, Villanueva. He was an Army Ranger himself who played for the Steelers after he was in the Army, which just shows like how much physicality that guy has gone through. My goodness, I don't even know how he had the strength on his bones to do that. But obviously, there are more than enough capable people out there. It just shows the shallowness of ESPN, of course. But credit to Pat McAfee for bringing it up, of course. And I'll say it again, dude, watch that Pat Tillman documentary. Like, I'm a sucker for documentaries, and it is phenomenal. It is so awesome to see. And it's not really awesome. It just really highlights it without all the fluff and extra nonsense. Like, the one staggering thing from that documentary is, like, they have a row of generals up there, and they ask them when they heard about the death of Pat Tillman. And the first couple guys answer. There's one high-ranking individual, a general, says, "I don't recall when I got the news of Pat Tillman's death." And then all of a sudden, those guys that answer already go, "Oh, I'd like to change my answer. I'd like to go back. I actually do not recall when I heard it." And it literally, they go down the line, and they show the camera on the family, and they're like, "What is happening right now?" And kind of just goes to show, but it's a fantastic documentary that you guys should go watch.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, dude. He was the man too. People forget he was actually really good at football. I mean, when he was with Arizona, obviously, but in college, what was it? Was he with Arizona State? Is that where Pat Tillman went? Something like that.
Arizona
I don't
State.
remember, but either way, like he was.
Him and Jake the Snake
man.
Plumber.
Yeah, and that pisses me off that they gave it to that goddamn Brit. I don't like
I will
that.
say, awards are overrated because Joe Flacco got comeback player of the year after Mar Hamlin literally like died on the field and came back.
And Bruce Jenner got woman of the year, so that doesn't really.
See, there you go. Awards are overrated.
But that maybe in their defense, in ESPN's defense, maybe they looked at him and thought he was Carson Wentz. Have you seen him? He looks exactly like Carson Wentz. He's the one he looks exactly like. So
I always love those memes when they
Yeah,
show
they
like
look exactly like
the
them.
quarterbacks, and the last one I saw was of Kirk Cousins. They showed the NFC South, and the Kirk Cousins, they had him as the Captain America lead guy. It's like, dude, that's spot on. But let's go to the Discord, boys. This question was submitted by Tim Towner. What is the dumbest act that remains on your bucket list? Read.
The dumbest act?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm allowed to say it. I'm serious.
Just say it. At
I
this
can't
point.
say it, Kyle. I cannot say
After
it.
what you said before
This is
about
where this is where
peeing
he
in
draws the
traffic,
This
this is where he draws the
Kyle,
line at. I can't
yeah,
tell you
this
my
is where I
bucket
draw the
list.
line. All right, fine. You want to know what's on my bucket list? Uh, I want to go out deep into the Atlantic Ocean, just waist yay high with a can of sun-kissed tuna, and I'm gonna put it on my inner thighs and let a dolphin eat it off of me. Is that what you wanted to hear?
why?
Is that what it was?
I don't know. I'll probably say skydiving, man. Probably that. I wish I had something as elaborate and crazy as Reed's. I don't know how much time went
exotic.
into how much time went into thinking that.
Literally made it up on the fly. MVD.
Impressive.
Yeah, that was really impressive actually.
Thank you.
I'd probably say maybe skydiving. I would say just because I know a couple of people have done it and they were like, it's one of those like adrenaline rush things that like you just got to experience. So I would say skydiving.
Yeah, dude. I watched this one. I can't believe it. It's like I'm like I
Let me
follow,
guess, you watched the documentary.
No, I follow some
Hell yeah.
military
Hell yeah.
pages, and there's one of a Mexican paratrooper, like this Mexican special forces group, and this dude's parachute doesn't come up, and then so you see the guy on the ground, and he's just like walking over to the guy because the one guy's his parachute did not open.
Hey, are you okay? Buddy, you fell from pretty high over there.
And he's like cratered in the ground. It's just like, oh man, like, and now I don't want to
Was it
skydive.
Crater? Damn, he could have killed the dinosaurs if he was around back then. I've seen a lot of videos like that lately. There's this one because Twitter's just my Twitter's straight up like nothing but death videos lately, which is cool. But it's also like, what does that say about me, But there's one where this guy and
Yeah, crazy
a girl,
algorithm going on.
yeah, the guy and a girl jumped out of an airplane, and the camera cuts out, and they just never, they didn't open the parachute or something, and it's like that would be funny, and if it was like, I mean, there's nothing funny about it, but
Yeah,
like,
your
it
Twitter's
would be,
crazy. I don't know.
yeah, it would be pretty funny if it was just like the whole time they're just having like a boyfriend girlfriend argument. They're like, I thought you packed it. She's like, I thought you packed it, and then just going.
The next question is presented by Deluxe, who, by the way, said that on his bachelor party in Vegas, they went on a helicopter ride, and he said that week, like days after they were on their helicopter, that their helicopter crashed into the side of the mountain. And I was like, dude, that's insane. Yeah, that's what he said.
Damn, like the RIP.
No, come on, man.
I wasn't making a joke. I'm being honest. Like that's
come
what
on,
happened
Ari.
to him. No, I didn't even make a joke. I said RIP. That's what happened to him with that. Like it crashed right into the side of the mountain or whatever. It's fucking terrifying, dude. It's crazy that can happen.
Yeah, he said they're never getting a helicopter, but his question.
I never would either.
I mean, after hearing about Reed's Twitter, I don't think I ever want to do skydiving. So.
Yeah, that's what I said. But
it's pretty funny though. Like that's the one thing you forget. It's like shit. It's like cell phone check, wallet check, parachute. Fuck. As they're on their way down. The one thing.
This next topic that Arch wanted us to discuss is the it looks like FanDuel released their top 10 returners of all time. Devin Hester.
Pissed me off.
Devin Hester's number 1. They have Brian Mitchell at number 2, but they have him listed as a Philadelphia Eagle. How many seasons was he with the Eagles in contrast to Washington?
He was with 3 seasons and 2 seasons with the Giants, but he was with the Redskins for what, 9-10 years?
Yeah, and they listed him as the Eagles. And what Arch said is that he can understand that they would, because they want to refrain from using any like Washington logo, of course, but it's like
that's horseshit. Yeah,
you can just put
they've used the W. First of all, FanDuel, whenever they put Washington players on there, they use the W, like the one in my background right there. So like they could have easily just used the W. They could have used the old Redskins thing because other places still use it, other like sites still use it for like the old players anyway.
Use the
Not saying
R
he's
of the
old,
Native
but
American imagery
yeah,
effectively.
I don't know.
You know?
FanDuel,
It's,
I say you just
but
give me like $100 in
that's
free bets because of
literally
that. I don't know. I'm
that's
just saying
literally
that's
the
messed up.
equivalent of like since like he's like unarguably I think I mean top two return men of all time, right? It's him and Devin Hester. That's what everybody says. That's like going and making a quarterback list and listing Joe Montana as a chief. It's like
Yeah, it's
okay,
like listing Brett
what
Favre as
the
a
hell?
Viking.
Yeah, yeah, right. And it's like why?
Or
Why'd we do
Peyton
that?
Manning as a Bronco. That's really
Yeah.
But see, at least he won like did Super Bowls with
that's
them.
true. He
Like
didn't do anything with Philly, right? I mean, not
no,
like
I mean he was
he
decent. He
obviously
was
did. I'm
good.
saying the
Right, right,
team.
right. But still, that's
Yeah, I mean, that
overshadowed
was
compared to
during
what he
like
did.
Philly's run where they went to the NFC Championship like 5 years
Yeah.
in a row, whatever. Like couldn't get over the hump. But I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously he did a lot more with the red. With oh my God, I said the Redskins. He did it with the Redskins a lot more than he did with anything with the Giants and then with the Eagles combined. So yeah, FanDuel deserves to get smacked upside the head for that one.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Now the next question from Deluxe: why is B-Rob going missing from so many RB lists? Does the league not realize he had over 1,100 scrimmage yards in a year where he was heavily underutilized? Make it make sense, Reed.
No, I wonder the same thing, especially like whenever they post like graphics of like the potential Commanders offense. It's like Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Austin Eckler. And it's like Brian Robinson is going to be our number one back. Brian Robinson is a fantastic running back. He's entering year three. He's done nothing but to exceed expectations, like from his rookie year through. Like he's a very good running back, and I'm just excited for him to finally, I mean, put that stamp on it because it's ridiculous that he doesn't get any love. It seems like from any major media sites at all when they're talking about running backs.
Well, remember, like when we interviewed Arif Hassan, which all the respect to Arif, he works very hard, awesome dude. I really
Yeah,
appreciate his time to come on and talk to us. But when he talked about Brian Robinson's first year, he's like, it was kind of a in flattering year, kind of basically.
Underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming. I was like, dude, you got shot though. Like,
yeah,
come on, man. Like this was like right before training camp too. Like you can't really get that much on him. But that's what the whole thing about Washington players is, though. Like it's so hard just to be even recognized, let alone be considered an elite prospect or even a top player in the league because of where you are. We learned this from Trent, but try to make it make sense with B-Rob. I guess what people are kind of looking at it in the sense of what Kliff Kingsbury likes to do, but in that sense, James Conner did really well under Kliff, right? And so did what was the other running back Hall?
Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake did really well, and I'm not saying that he's going to be elite, so to speak, but Brian Robinson is a freaking freight train, man, and that's somebody you don't want to underestimate. And that's somebody you don't want to look past because when he does, you look like an Atlanta Falcons DB in the rain at some points. I do expect that to happen though, because just given what we know about Kliff Kingsbury and liking to spread people out and hit in the middle, I think Brian Robinson is the perfect guy for that. So let them sleep on us, man. Let Brian Robinson run over everybody, and I'm all for it, dude, because we need all the pass protection we can get, and he's one hell of a pass blocker.
yeah.
I think it's because people like if you would have said that if he had over 1,100 total yards combined last year, people would probably look at you like, "What? No, he didn't. Like you're just making that up." It's because he doesn't really do anything that's flashy. He's not the guy that's going to break 50, 60, 70-yard run for a touchdown from like the other side of the field. He's not the guy that's going to catch a screen pass and take it 30, 40 yards. I mean, we saw him do that against Seattle, but it was kind of like a broken play type thing. So he's not a guy that's really flashy. He's not going to put like a Sports 10 or Sports Center top 10 highlight reel together. And if you look at his yards per carry, he's only averaging 4 yards per carry for over the 2 seasons he's been in the NFL. And obviously that's like pretty average or like mid, as the kids say. But at the end of the day, oh shit, what happened on my screen? At the end of the day, like you said, he's a good running back. And yeah, I actually think that, like you said, I had to double check that because I was like, damn, he really had 1,100 total yards. And I was like, oh, I guess he did. And you would think that like with more usage, because Eric Bieniemy was like allergic to running the football, with a little bit more usage, maybe a little bit better line, the defense a little bit better, you can actually run the ball a little bit more. You're not passing the ball 100 times a game. You would think that he would be close to maybe eclipsing that 1,000-yard rushing achievement. But and like you said, when Kliff Kingsbury had James Conner and Kenyon Drake, that was like a pretty good 1-2 duo. Like Kenyon Drake was the change of pace guy that could still running in between the tackles and outside, but he was using the pass game. That could be Austin Eckler.
Right.
Then James Conner was kind of like the first, second down guy to kind of soften the defense up for a guy like Kenyon Drake. So I do think that B-Rob can definitely have a successful year this year, and I have him getting close to 1,000 yards rushing. So we'll see.
In respect to James Conner, dude, beat cancer, then was able to overcome things in Pittsburgh, of course, and then went to Arizona and was able to really solidify himself there with a good career. So respect to James Conner, dude. That guy's a freaking tank, and he deserves all the success that he did have.
That was one of the best stories in sports for a while.
It was.
Yeah.
The next question, Hall. This from Big Tony Shivers. Thank you, Tony. I hope everything's going well, sir, by the way. I've been praying for you, sir. He asks, which NFC East free agent running back will have the biggest impact? Singletary with the Giants, Saquon with the Eagles, Zeke's return to Dallas, or Eckler with the Commanders? Really good question.
I mean, you have to say it's Zeke going back to the Cowboys, right? No, I'm sure. I mean, how can you not say, even though I hate to say this, it's probably going to be Saquon Barkley. I would love to say Eckler because I do think if you have Saquon here as an impact, I think Eckler would be right behind him just because I think Eckler's due for a huge bounce back year, come off the injury-ridden year, a lot to prove. So, yeah, I think Eckler's right there with him. But, I mean, if you just look at Saquon, the athleticism that he has, the potential to be a the best running back in the league when he's at the height of his powers. And then you put him with a guy like Jalen Hurts, he's going to be obviously using the running game a little bit this upcoming season with Kellen Moore. And you put him behind that Eagles offensive line, who I know they lost Kelsey and a couple other pieces here and there, but they usually consistently have a pretty good offensive line out there, usually a top 5 unit. Still got Lane Johnson out there. So I just think if Saquon can stay healthy behind that offensive line in the way that Kellen Moore's probably going to want to lean on Saquon in the run game and the passing game to kind of like ease it off of Jalen Hurts a little bit, just because of last season, how he was injured and whatnot. So I do think that if he can stay healthy, it'll be Saquon. Probably he'll probably be in the running for offensive player of the year in the NFL because I do think he's due in for a pretty big year.
Yeah, just in terms of carries, I do think Singletary will be up there just because with Joe Schoen, it almost seemed like he wants to show Morrow, like the decision to give Daniel Jones the contract was just asinine. And so he took away the crutch in Saquon. Like, no longer can you just dump it off to Saquon. No longer can you depend on Saquon giving him 25, 30 touches a game, right? And so at this point, you're saying, okay, well, what are they going to do? Yeah, they drafted Malik Neighbors, but can you trust Daniel Jones to be able to get the ball out of his hands to Malik Neighbors consistently for 17 games? So I do think Devin Singletary is going to be getting a heavy portion of handoffs. And credit to Eckler. He talked about how he didn't want to go to the Giants because he thought that they were going to be having a lot of carries attached to it, and he wanted to use that 1-2 punch, so to speak. And so credit to Eckler. I do think that Eckler is that guy that's going to have a really big impact on this offense because we just talked about what Kliff had in Arizona with James Conner and Kenyon Drake, right? And I do think that 1-2 punch is going to be really, really pivotal and important to Jaden Daniels, getting the ball out of his hands, checking it down, and in the aspect of just helping out the offense, because in my personal opinion, the best to get the most out of a rookie quarterback, this is what Kyle Shanahan does so well, is really depending on the run game to confuse the defense in order that the passing game is very easy because they're expecting the run, using the play action, allowing the throwing lanes to be very easy and open. I think that Eckler could be somebody that's going to be very productive, but honestly, I think Singletary probably is the easiest one, but obviously, you talked about Saquon. I just don't want to talk about Saquon as well. But the one issue that you could say with Saquon is that Jalen Hurts and company, they have a kind of pride thing. A.J. Brown last season, he was already causing a stir later in the back half of that season because he wasn't getting enough, right? They weren't at their best, so to speak. And so could you say that sort of situation could arise again and that takes away snaps from Saquon? I don't think the Eagles are that stupid along with Kellen Moore. I think they will get Saquon the ball a hefty amount, of course, but I'm just playing devil's advocate just to be
The one thing,
Eagles.
I mean, I think Saquon's the best running back in the NFL when he's healthy. Like, just how talented he is. Like, he's got it all. The dude can catch. The dude's athletic as hell. He can go power. He can go speed. He can. Obviously. But if you look, I mean, if we're talking about impacts, I mean, it's not like DeAndre Swift played bad last year. DeAndre Swift was fantastic last year. So can he make more of an impact than what DeAndre Swift already did? Like, will it make that big of a difference?
That's a
I
good
don't know,
point.
but to be honest, probably, because I do think that Saquon's just that goddamn talented, and that sucks. But the injuries, man, that's a big concern. But I'll say Saquon, but I'm gonna go Eckler number two because I think Eckler is gonna have over 1,000 yards receiving and over 2,000 yards rushing. So
Jeez. Now, the next question is from Tim Towner in the Discord. Reed, I have expectations that Minnesota will struggle this year and will most likely be a top 10 pick. Now, with the loss of Kyrie Jackson, would you be in favor of spinning off one of our cornerbacks like Forbes or Benjamin St-Juste to them in exchange for a second or third round pick? And obviously, rest in peace to those three young men, dude. That's
dude, so
absolutely
terrible.
horrible. I mean,
Yeah,
just like they weren't doing anything wrong, man.
I
And
know that's one of those.
like
Ugh,
growing up in Damascus and in Montgomery County, like that was one of the leading things for people our age who were passing away was from car accidents like that. And obviously trees being immovable objects, it's horrific in high speed situations. Not like they're going high speed over the speed limit, but as soon as you're going over 30 miles an hour, it becomes an issue.
yeah,
If
oh
you are
yeah,
going to strike a tree, of course. But it's so unfortunate for those three young men because obviously they were still teammates in high school and they're still hanging out in the off season. Of course, they were out 3 in the morning, but that doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong. You just be coming back from Waffle House. You know, you want to go out
yeah.
for something to eat, playing
Come
video
on.
games all night. You want to go get something to eat. Well, guess what? Some drunk idiot decides to try to change lanes in the middle, going fast, and now you're screwed. And it's
That's
unfortunate
yeah.
for the families that they have to go through this, and it's just so unfortunate. But if you want to answer the question, Reed.
Yeah, I mean that's the dangerous part too, man. It's like you can't control what other people do, so it's like you just gotta always be driving defensive, as they say, and that's terrible, man. You don't wish that on anybody. You never like to hear that type of news to somebody, especially three young men like that. So sad.
I really
Um,
enjoyed Kyrie Jackson's film coming out.
so
Like
dude,
I
I wanted
wanted us
him.
to draft. I thought he
I
fit
liked his
Joe
size,
Witt.
everything.
Yeah,
Yep.
Joe Witt and DQ. I thought he fit what they wanted to do. Obviously, a Maryland native. It was a really good fit, and it's a really unfortunate, man. It's just
Yeah.
so crappy.
Um, would I be opposed to it? I mean, no, but like, would they want somebody like that? That's tough to say because like obviously there's so much unknown still with Emmanuel Forbes. I still think I think Benjamin St. Juste is going to flourish in this defense with this coaching staff. I would hope, and I would hope Emmanuel Forbes does too. So it's tough, but it is crowded. I mean, we did bring in a lot of good competition at corner, so I wouldn't be opposed to anytime you can get a high round pick like that. I'd say go for it, but yeah, I don't know, man. I guess it just kind of depends on camp. How sane we're still, how Davis, how all these guys look. Maybe Noah Egbenogin, they can get something out of. Maybe So it's tough to say, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to a day two pick for somebody, but you better make sure that somebody doesn't end up being a baller. You better hope that Emmanuel Forbes isn't going over there and getting D Hall type interceptions and stuff, because even then it's like,
And
uh-oh.
I will say this: with this defense being one of the worst in pass defense last season, I don't think that we're in the business of giving
That's true.
away assets, so to speak. But of course, the second or third round pick is very juicy. I don't expect that to be in return for these guys. I think that's
Yeah,
probably biting
yeah.
off more than we can chew at this point, just given the fact of everything going on. I feel really bad for not only for the Vikings but just for the families. I don't like really talking about this because I feel like it's kind of too early. It's kind of a sore subject, so to speak, because it's just a loss of life, and especially somebody that doesn't deserve it in that sort of situation. But it's not in our position. But I don't think that it's a good idea, just given the fact of we have to find out who these guys are first. And I don't want to give those guys away just because. Let's see what they can do under a new staff. And we do have to put the caveat in there that, yes, we did add a bunch to this corner group, but one of the reasons why Dallas' secondary was so good is
They're
because
so
the
deep.
quarterback had to get the ball out of their hands within 2 seconds because of that pass rush. Do we have that pass rush? Can we guarantee that they'll be set up in those situations? You're getting jump ball situations if you have to throw the ball very quickly and make a quick decision. But if the quarterback is able to sit back there for 3 to 4 seconds, then your corners kind of lose grip on things. And that's what was happening last season to this pass defense. So can we mimic that pass rush? I'm not 100% sure. So I want to make sure that we have more than enough assets to go after and be able to pull in case we need it. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, if you're gonna get a second round pick for someone like St. Juice or Forbes, I mean, you before they even try to change their mind, you say yes, I agree to that deal. Where do I sign? Because, like you said, you're probably not going to get that type of value for those type of guys at this point. But for the sake of the question, I would say yes, I would do it. And I mean, everyone keeps telling me this is a team that is rebuilding. They're in the rebuilding stage. They're years away from actually competing, and they need assets. So why would you not want to try to flip a player? I mean, you don't want to add players like Aiyuk and give up assets. So you might as well be taking on assets as far as like future draft picks. And you're talking about, like, obviously you said that was going to be my point, where this team doesn't really. I mean, we'll see what Dorrance Armstrong does, but as far as like a young, like, can go out and get you 10 plus like sacks a game type pass rusher, maybe like a Montez Sweat type guy.
A Mike Reed type guy.
Nah, 10 sacks is a lot of sacks.
That's a standard weekend in the Roenick household.
Yeah, we don't have that guy, so it would make sense if you want to get an extra second round draft pick to maybe go out and draft that guy next year. I know everyone's talking about how the offensive line group was this year in the first round. In the second rounds is going to be like it was for the defensive side of the ball, defensive line coming out this year in 2025 draft. So they're going to have some guys in there that you can maybe draft a difference maker in the first 2 rounds and be one of your cornerstone guys. But yeah, like you said, for the sake of the argument, I would definitely, as much as I do think St. Jude's is going to have one of those years where we're finally going to see, oh, this is why they drafted him, this is what they drafted him to be type years. I just think it's too little, too late type of thing, because he's in the last year of his contract. I mean, I guess they can franchise him if you want to. So for a guy that might not be on your roster in 2025, if you can get a second round pick for him, I would 1,000% do that.
Credit to you. You brought up very good points. I will say that just for the sake of the question, a second or third rounder, I think you are right in that regard. If that is what is offered, of course. But just in my realistic mindset, I know that's not going to be what's offered. It's going to be
getting like a 5th or a 6th, like
6th, 7th rounder. You know what I'm saying? Like a freaking plate of mashed potatoes. But what they've said, that this next year's class, because of the COVID years and everything, it's going to be very heavy in the later rounds of the draft, and so you could probably feel really comfortable with those. Hey guys, and so I agree with you in that sense. What's up, buddy? Come on. You want to say hi to everybody? Come on. You say hi?
Yeah.
You're gonna go to bed now? Did you have fun today at the pool?
I want to say hi to my teacher.
Say hi.
Hi.
All right, we have one last question.
So sick.
This one from Arch Deluxe. His question is, pick 2 to remove from here. These are video game football based. If you could pick If you pick 2 to never play again, Madden, Tecmo Bowl, NFL Street, or NFL Blitz Hall.
To never play again? NFL Street's my game, so I'm definitely going to keep that one. I'd probably get rid of Tecmo Bowl because I've honestly never even played the game one day in my life, so might as well just keep on going without playing it. And I would say between Madden or – I already got Street, so I got to get like an actual real NFL game. So I'd keep Madden and I'd keep Street, and I guess get rid of Blitz and Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, it's tough though, because in NFL Blitz you could use steroids at one point. That was sick. You could full on the program out your guys. Remember that movie, The Program? That was pretty sick. But I'm gonna keep Madden because it's Madden. And one of these days they will get it right.
One of these days.
I'll keep NFL Blitz because those are some of my best memories playing NFL Blitz. But obviously, if NCAA was on the list, you keep an NCAA because NCAA 14 is probably the greatest football game of all time. But
right,
anyway.
It is. All right, bud. I love you.
I love you too.
I love you. You want to come back?
No,
I'll say this. I loved NFL Blitz. NFL Street was so much fun though.
I know.
It really was. But NFL Blitz, being able to, like KO dudes in the ground, pile drive them, you obviously have to take that away because it wasn't like you could actually use athletes to their advantage. Like everyone was the same. It wasn't like you were getting better production out of certain players and everything like that. So I would pick that I would stay with Madden and I would stay with NFL Street. No disrespect to the Tecmo Bowl crowd. I know that they love that game, and I was born in '90. It's not something that I grew up with, so to speak. So I would have to eliminate Tecmo Bowl and NFL Blitz.
You know what other game was sick? At NFL 2K. The one with
Like the
T.O.
original
on the
one?
The
cover.
ESPN
Yeah,
one, dude. That was one of the
yeah.
best. Hi, baby.
You could be in the helmet and stuff. That was so tight.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Dude, that was the first one where it
Look at
had
her.
the in the helmet view. Say hi,
yeah,
Corey.
yeah. That was tight.
Say hi.
She's
ready
like,
to
she's
say
like, she's like, who was that fat man waving at me?
Right. Sorry, the kid just got back from out to dinner and at the pool today at the in-laws. Love you.
Yeah.
I'll be inside in a minute, guys. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap us up for this episode.
Cash.
And you see him playing with the Sean Taylor
Yeah.
jersey?
He's like, I want this one. Father, give me this one. Father, let me put it on your
And
credit
so
card.
Catherine says all the time that when they come home randomly, he'll come and sit in my chair. Because, like, I've seen,
Aw,
so, like, I've
that's
come
so
and I've
tight.
seen that my notepad has been scribbled on everything. I'm like, what's going on
Yeah.
here? Wow.
He says, I'm going to be just like you, Father.
It's okay, bub. It's okay. I got it right here. Thank you. You're the man. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap us up for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys again next week. I'm sorry if Reed gave you guys any ideas of what to do, and if you're stuck in traffic, I would advise not to do that.
You got like a built-in Gatorade bottle. You just use it.
Ridiculous.
Never gonna drink Gatorade ever again.
I know. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap us up for this episode. I'm Kyle.
I'm whole.
Daniel Kelly, NFL scout Daniel Kelly.
And we'll see you guys next week.
First round mock draft.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Drive safe. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. If you made it this far, you're a frickin' champion. We'll see you again next week. Washington football. Woo!
Peace.
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.